When I think about this, only one word comes to mind: heartbreaking. Michael Jackson, the king of pop, he left an indelible mark on the music industry, but even in death, his legacy is mired in controversy. Recently, a heated legal battle erupted over the sale of Michael's music catalog for a staggering $600 million. That's a lot of money. But this clash pits the estate's executors against Michael's mother, Katherine Jackson, and the children. It raises questions about control, legacy, and the intricate web of legalities surrounding one of the most valuable music estates in history. Katherine Jackson is 94 years young, a blessing. But to have to go through this type of legal battle and drama over the estate that was supposed to take care of her grandkids and their kids, we're in an interesting position. So on a tense Friday in a Los Angeles courtroom, Katherine Jackson's lawyers argued that the estate's co-executors, John Branca and John McClain, should be held in contempt for closing the $600 million deal with Sony. I'd be mad too, because I think that is a severe undervaluation of that asset. The Sony catalog, the Sony ATV catalog that Michael Jackson bought so long ago, which contains the Beatles catalog and so many others and is growing by the day. They wanted to sell half of it for $600 million, which puts the valuation at 1.2. But it gets more interesting, because that $600 million deal, the sale, which took advantage of a booming asset market, was supposed to diversify and strengthen the Jackson estate. But Katherine's camp claims it was done while she was still appealing a ruling on the matter, making the transaction a violation of court orders. On March 1st, I sent a letter to the estate asking for an explanation as to the authority they used as the basis to proceed with the transaction, and crickets. No response at all. We don't understand why this is not contempt of court, Katherine's lawyer, Robert E. Allen, stated. Despite Katherine's objections, Los Angeles County Superior Court Judge Mitchell Beckloff ruled that the executors had the authority to proceed with the deal, albeit at their own risk. Now that's interesting, because at their own risk means they could potentially be sued. He acknowledged that Katherine's appeal put his approval of the deal on hold, but clarified that the executors were free to move forward, knowing that they could be personally on the hook if sued. The estate wanted an order saying they could proceed with the transaction and be insulated from liability. So now they're liable for the transaction if they get sued. Katherine's legal team believes the sale represents a breach of court orders and has proposed holding John Branca in contempt. The executors, however, maintain they acted within their rights, driven by the urgency to secure the deal in a hot market. The estate's lawyer, Gerald Cohen, highlighted the estate's turnaround from near bankruptcy to a valuation achieved through strategic transactions post Michael's death. The executors have a very, very good reason for proceeding with the transaction, Cohen stated, emphasizing the importance of timing. Timing is so important, right? They were saying the market was hot, and therefore they wanted to capitalize on this hot market to sell this valuable asset, probably one of the most valuable assets in music catalog history. Complicating matters further is an ongoing tax dispute with the IRS over $700 million in alleged unpaid taxes and penalties. This dispute has prevented the estate from funding the trust set up for Michael's children and his mother. And this is why it comes up in the news. The fact that the children are no longer receiving their trust funds that are set up. The IRS has frozen the trusts that were set up for Michael's children and his mother. Multiple trusts. With the estate entangled in these legal and financial battles, distributions to beneficiaries remain on hold. Executors hope to figure out a family allowance while they wait for the new evaluation, the filing reveals. Could you imagine being worth $1 billion, your family being worth $1 billion, and you've got a group of lawyers telling you can get an allowance? We'll figure out an allowance for you. That's so insulting, man. And it's ridiculous that this family has to go through this. Adding to the estate's woes are revived lawsuits from Wade Robeson and James Safechuck. The ones from the infamous HBO documentary, who claim that Michael Jackson's companies are liable for the alleged abuse they suffered as children. These ongoing litigations further muddy the waters for an estate already besieged by legal challenges. Catherine Jackson's struggle with the estate is not just about money, it's about control and legacy. Her recent feud with her grandson, BG, this is Michael's son that used to be known as Blanket, right? He changed his name to BG. Over using the trust fund for her legal fees against Sony highlights the complex dynamics within the Jackson family. So BG feels like his grandmother using the money that is in the estate, in the trust fund, to fight Sony cuts into his money. Of course, how old is BG? BG Jackson is 22 years old. He's decided to say, his real name is Prince Michael Jackson also. He's the youngest child in the group. And maybe he doesn't quite understand what's happening here. The fact that sometimes major companies like Sony can use their large resources to get their way in a courtroom and basically bleed you dry. Take your resources that you have, and they should have plenty of money with their assets outside of the music catalog, their revenues coming in from other royalties, I believe. They should be able to still make money. Recently, I think in 2016, they had a record-breaking year on how much was brought in by the estate, but they're not able to put their hands on it. And so, it's a sad place. You should never have to go against your grandmother over using a trust fund that your father set up for you. Like I said, he's 22 years old, so he's of that generation, that Gen Z, where they're not necessarily the most compassionate, especially when dealing with their 94-year-old grandmother. It should not come to that at all. This is a quote from the attorney. What the executors appear to be doing is waiting for Miss Jackson to pass away, argued Adam Pines. And as soon as she does, they're going to attack. They really are going to attack. The battle over Michael Jackson's estate is far from over. As legal challenges persist and family dynamics unfold, the world watches closely, reminded that the King of Pop's legacy is as complex and controversial as his life was. What lies ahead for Michael Jackson's estate and how his family will navigate the turbulent waters of inheritance and legacy, only time will tell. But let me know what you think about it in the comments. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification for all uploads. If you want to watch more, please watch one of these videos down below. This is Faucette Media.